Hi, welcome to my studio. Thank you for being here. I am Dana, and this is The Walk Legacy, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Psalm 119. So I was listening to the pastor of Lionheart Church. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. My sister-in-law actually introduced me to him, and she had sent me a link to one of his sermons, and he was talking about Psalm 119. And apparently, Psalm 119 is the longest chapter in the Bible. It has the most verses in the Bible. But the thing that really just made me laugh and giggle inside was when he came to verse 49. All of the verses in Psalm 119 are broken up into the Hebrew alphabet. And I don't know what the significance is of that. I just noticed it because these are the things that I just noticed, and it is just my eyes see what they see. And so anyways, he got to verse 49 and it said Zayin at the top of it. And so from verse 49 to verse 56, these verses are dedicated in some way to Zayin. So I want to read some of those as well because I think it's significant for the time that we're in. And I think that this is the season that we need to be really mindful of the things that the Lord is showing us in the physical realm and the spiritual realm, because there are things that He wants to tell us and show us. And if we're not paying attention, we can miss it. And so I don't want to miss anything that the Lord is saying. And it's certainly not anything that He's trying to tell me specifically. Verse 49, and I'm just going to go bullet point by bullet point in these verses. It says, "Remember the word to your servant in which you have made me hope." What does this mean? We need to remember the promises of the Lord. This is what gives us hope. And He's talking to the Lord. He's like, remember the word you gave your servant. And so it's almost like you're reminding the Lord, which He doesn't need to be reminded. He knows what He said. But I think when we remind Him, we also remind ourselves. And I think that is so powerful because it is important to remember the promises of God, what He's already done, what He is doing, and what He will do. Because this is where our hope comes from. This is what we hope for, the things that we haven't seen, but we know that He will do. And the things that we have seen that He's already done is what gives us faith to know that He will complete what He's already started. Be encouraged in your remembrance. In verse 50, it says, "This is my comfort in affliction, that your word has revived me." There is nothing that can revive you more than the word of God. If you're in a place of disappointment, you're in a place of just maybe your heart is hurting. If you're in a place of distraction, wherever you are, it doesn't even have to be a negative place. If you're in a good place, you still need the word of God. And this was just a reminder to me. The word revives. It restores, it renews. In verse 51, it says, "The arrogant utterly divide me, yet I do not turn aside from your law." Arrogant laughter or mocking. Do you ever feel like just because you stood up for something that has to do with spiritual things or the Lord in some way that you get laughed at or mocked? So verse 52 says, "I have remembered," and I'm sorry, but I'm reading in my journal, "your ordinances from old and comfort myself." The word comforts you. His ordinances is His word, the word of God, His law. What have we been talking about? This is the month the Lord gave the law. This is why it's so important. It's the importance of the word. It is His ordinances, His teachings that are so important to us because they comfort. And I just think this is so telling of the month that we're in and why these verses are dedicated to the letter Zayin, because it is power and authority. Where does that power and authority come from? From the Spirit of God and spending time with Him and gaining power and authority. And in the Word, praying and fasting as well. So in verse 53, it says, "Burning indignation has seized me because of the wicked people who forsake your law." So I was like, I'm not really sure what this actually means. Does this mean like righteous indignation? Because it is when you become furious with wickedness. And I find myself, and I've said this in other videos, sometimes I just get angry because of what's going on and how the wickedness is just rising and rising and rising. And sometimes I get overwhelmed by it. And I just I just get so angry. This is part of having the currency of the spiritual realm to be able to do business to have the power and authority to take care of the things in the spirit that we need to take care of, because there is nothing wrong with us being angry about the works of the devil. So it goes on in verse 54, and it says, your statutes are my songs in the house of my pilgrimage. And I'm a singer. I love worship music. I'm a worshiper at heart. And I just thought, wow, the word of God should be my song. That wherever I live, that the word of God should be my song, because the word of God encourages. The word of God comforts. These are my songs. And I love to I would love to sit and just read a psalm and put music to it. I know people have done that before. We actually listened to a podcast the other night in my prayer group where someone had put the psalms to music and they're actually singing them. And it was beautiful. The word of God should be your song. And if you don't sing, it's okay. Your heart has a song inside of it, and you sing what's in your heart. And so let it be the word of God that you sing wherever you go, wherever you live. I think that our homes need to be a dwelling place of the word of God. Verse 55 says, O Lord, I remember your name at night and keep your law. And this spoke to me so loudly because we need to remember him at night. Almost every night before I go to sleep, I ask the Lord to protect my mind, my body, and my soul and my spirit while I'm asleep. In my dreams, that he would protect me and that he would put a canopy over me so that the enemy can't see me and can't monitor me and see what I am doing or whatever, praying for a hedge of protection, a ring of fire around you before you go to sleep does not hurt a fly. Okay. I'm just saying it's a good practice to get into, remembering the name of the Lord at night, because you are at your most vulnerable place when you are asleep. And I believe that Satan knows that, and he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And there's nothing wrong with covering that time with the Spirit of God. So the last one is, this has become mine, that I observe your precepts. This is how I spend my life, and it is in obedience. Because what are precepts? It's the word of God. It's the law. It's the teachings of the Lord. It's instructions. His instructions for us, and it is holy. The law is still holy. We can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So there is obedience in our walk with the Lord. It's not just about your salvation. It is a life lived in obedience to the Lord. I am so encouraged, and I hope you are too. Thank you for being with me, and I will see you next time.